Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live session. Welcome to today's live session. Today, we're talking about consent, boundaries, and respect in relationships. Before I go on, I'd like to welcome Emedion. You're looking like a school teacher. Hello, good to see you.
Good evening.
And Matabel, are you here? Okay, so Emedion is here. Emedion, you're welcome. Okay, so can you start? Go on. Let's go on. Yeah.
Network.
Can you hear me? Okay, so today we'll be talking about consent.
Network is breaking.
It's fine. Okay, I'll just get the conversation started. So we're talking about concerns, talking about
Yes, I
boundaries,
am.
respect in relationships. Okay, so before we get started, so let's just talk about definitions a little. Let's talk about what consent is, what it means to actually respect another person's rights in a relationship. Most people think that because maybe you're in a relationship with them or whatever arrangement you have with them, they do not really have to ask you consent anymore. They don't really have, there are no boundaries again. That's, you can't cross any boundaries because we are in a relationship together. You just assume everything is fine every time. Everything is fine every time. Yeah. So they don't need to ask consent for anything. They don't need to talk to you about certain things. Just go ahead and make those assumptions, make decisions for you, just because they feel that way. So because I feel that way means you should also feel that way because both of us are together. Yes. So let's talk about this. So let's talk about consent. Let's talk about respect. Let's talk about boundaries as regards relationship. Emilion, what do you think? Are there such things as boundaries when it comes to relationship between maybe men and women, for instance? And are there such things as boundaries, or because we're in a relationship, it means that everything goes? If I feel like it, that means you should feel like it, right? So let's talk.
Of course, there are things as boundaries and respect and consent in relationships. Relationship is not just about yourself. It's it's the life of you and another person. So when we are talking about boundaries, these are limits, okay, that defines what someone is comfortable or not comfortable with. And when two people are coming in together in a relationship, these are two different people, two different personalities. Okay, what you like is not what I like. What you take serious are not the things that I take serious. Even siblings that are from the same mother and same father happen to have different personalities. You can see someone that is very quiet, and same parent, oh, this other one is so extroverted in life. Myself, I am kind of reserved, kind of, unless it's just ambivert, kind of, somehow introverted and sometimes extroverted, depends on who I am with. But my sister, my younger sister, she's highly extro. If that one wants to talk here, she's opposite of me, but we are the same, from the same parents. So the same thing now happens in a relationship. This is a different person now that you are in a relationship with. What you like is not what this person like. So there is every tendency that this person has something she wouldn't want you to do, and that is where the boundaries comes in. Even parents, they have their boundaries. You don't come home when once it is 10 p.m. Even landlords have boundaries for grown up ten ants. If you like, be 30 plus 40, 50. When once they've locked out their big gate, wham, by 10 p.m, knock till tomorrow, they will not open. And before a boundary comes in, there are conversations, there is a communication. Just like in a compound, where they tell you when once it is 10 p.m, wherever you're going, sleep there. So before they tell you, at least they'll first of all explain it to you. They'll first of all tell it to you. That's where the communication comes in. They tell you, we don't want you coming home when once it is past 10. There was this pastor I stayed with the family once. When it is 10 p.m., if they had a program, when once it is 10 p.m., they will have to stay in an hotel. They'll sleep there because in their compound, when once it is 10 sharp, nobody comes into the house. They just have that particular boundary that when once it is like this, you don't do like this. So the same thing now is applicable to relationship. It's applicable to many relationships. People have boundaries. Okay, I'm in a relationship with you. I don't want to go into intimacy first before marriage. That's my boundary. So for the fact that you think, okay, since I said yes to you, you want to have sex with me, and then you're not respecting that boundary that I said we don't need to go into intimacy first before marriage, that means you're not respecting the boundary. And when someone does not respect your boundary, that person does not even respect you in the first place. And that's why the topic is there as boundary respect, because where there is boundary, there is tendency to be a respect there. And then the consent now comes in. Like I said, you are meeting a young lady you're not yet married to. You're in a serious relationship with a lady, a committed relationship with a lady, and the lady is saying no sex before marriage. And then you are saying, okay, fine, since I have met your family, I have seen your mother have seen my mother. So as a result of that, we can do it. No. And the lady is telling you, no, that was not what we are saying, that on our wedding night. And you're saying, oh, please now, I beg now. Shey, remember I bought this one for you. Please remember I did this for you, I did that for you. And when you keep pleading and the lady now says, okay, yes, fine, okay, let's just do it for peace to reign. Now consent is out of the picture. Boundary is something that is very important in relationships, that people are highly respected and valued. Yes, and there are such things as boundaries and consent, and these things are not just anyhow things. There are those major things in relationship that matters: boundaries, respect, consent. Apart from relationship, even in marriage that you are in, even in marriage, you are supposed to get the consent of your wife before even going there. You going to touch your wife and she says no, oga, please respect yourself. And it's not just applicable to women. The same thing with men. You are touching your husband and he's telling you that he's tired. Please respect yourself too and allow him. It is his body, it is not your own. Yes, they said the two will become one, but it is still two. And the way the thing is doing this other one there, it is not the same thing as yours. Allow the person. There are some that we see, couples that are sick, their partners are sick, they are ill, but the partner still have the mind to have sex with them on top of their sickness. Even when the lady is saying, I'm feeling too weak and tired, they said you don't have a right, because this is my body, I got married to you. Where is the consent? Where is the respect? Where are the boundaries? It is not there. So that means you don't even have value for that person in the first place. And these are things that are very important. If you are in a situation where your husband does not even care about you, because that is another word there, care. When someone cares about you, they respect everything you respect. They respect the things you want and the things you don't. So when a partner is coming to you and you're telling your partner that I am weak, and he said the way he's doing me, if I don't do it, I will die. Oh, you're dying now. Oh, you're dying. Let person rest, because if I was not there, you would have still survived. So that is it. People should try to respect people's boundaries. The boundaries, they are there, not just in a relationship, not just in marriages, in everything. If there's one thing I love more, is respecting people's boundaries. I don't go overboard. Even my best friend's house, if I go to her house, I don't open pot. No, I don't open pot going, because I don't know if she's comfortable with that. Maybe until I've gone to an extent where she can open my pot and I open her pot, and then we are fine with that. But in a situation where you don't just know a person, maybe because people are becoming close, and then you go all of a sudden, bam, open pot, fresh food. No, you don't know that person might be upset. So people have different boundaries, and the best way to get to know these boundaries is through communication. And yes, let me just stop there, but there are boundaries, there are consent, and there are respect in relationships and marriages.
Thank you so much, Emelian. Isabel, are you here? Okay, it doesn't look like Isabel is here, So let's just continue talking about this. The way you've said it, it's not the way that is the reality. Like it's not the current realities that we see around. I shared a post yesterday that Lagos State Department of I think gender-based violence said something about consent not ending at the altar, and a lot of people were making so much comments. So it went to show how much ignorance there is to these matters. As simple as it seems, or as ordinary as it seems. People over time it's been that, oh, if you're in a relationship and you see someone, it really doesn't matter if
You, I think you might be muted.
it really doesn't matter if you've had any agreement or not. It just goes to show that, oh, you're interested to take that relationship to another level, or to take your intimacy to another level. And sometimes people's rights gets violated just because they visited someone they felt okay in a relationship. And you know I can visit as a friend, and but there are still lines, there are still bloodlines, you've not talked about those things. So we need to understand how can we um, how can we better manage these issues, yeah? Because we can't just keep telling, oh, we say, oh, women go through all of this, women go. What's the reason why it has always been like this, and how can we even make the corrections? What steps can we take to help people understand that there are things to be spoken about? There are not things to make assumptions about. Respect, the love, and all of those considerations says that you have to consider the other person. You don't just assume that, okay, because I want this, oh, because I want to eat shawarma, my wife must eat shawarma. Have you asked her, would you like to have shawarma, or would you like to have something else? Maybe she has another preference, or because I want to have sex, my wife would definitely want to, because she just has said, in that comment section, I heard somebody say, okay, so what did we buy the goats for? It was a man he made that comment, said, what did we buy the goats for? And it felt really bad. Another person told him and said, okay, so when you people make comments like this, you consider your mothers and your sisters at home and all of that. No, because how do you say okay, so because you paid maybe a bride price, or maybe because you're married, it means that you no longer get to ask, are you ready? Are you willing? Are you available? Or is there a reason why not? Because what are the things that makes us human if we cannot have basic consideration and respect for another person's rights? You know, So how do we begin to talk about solutions to these matters? How do we begin to address these issues in a way that it will bring us the needed responses? It shouldn't be a strange thing for a girl to go to a guy's house. Maybe they are in a relationship and they are friends, good friends. It shouldn't be a strange thing to even spend the night, and without expecting anything to happen. But over here in Nigeria, even though you dare not visit, talk less of going to spend the night. Because if you spend the night, you have just agreed. You have agreed somehow. You have stamped it. You have signed it that you people are going to sleep together, right? Because how did you sleep? Right? So people just avoid it, because if you ever get to the point where, okay, they say, where were you? You say, I was in his house. What time did you leave there? He said, I could not go, so I slept till 11 p.m. People just say, well, you asked for it and you got it. So how do we talk about solutions to this issue? Are we supposed to get people that we're in relationship with arrested because so they violated their rights? Or can we actually talk about these things? Can we get results talking about these things? because I see that there's a gap in communication here, which is what we've been saying. There's been a gap in communication where people just make a lot of assumptions. So, can we get to that point where we start talking about these things? What solutions? How do we address these matters? Mate, are you here?
Yes, I
All
am.
right, so go on.
Well, I feel the way to move forward with this whole thing, because I think we've spoken about, what is consent, people not understanding what consent is. I've said it. The way to move forward is having conversations about it, talking about it, you know, letting people know. So it doesn't just have to be on social media that we have these conversations. We can have these conversations with people in our lives, with our close relatives. Spread the word. Let people understand this thing and before they get into it. Because honestly, when it comes to your property, one of the most personal property you own is your body. Okay? Your body belongs to you. And you still need permission. Like there's no one really has full rights to anything of yours unless you sell it to them, unless you give it to them and you say, what, this is no longer mine, this is yours. Okay? So unless a person decides to give up their entire autonomy, then permission is due, question is due. Okay, how does this person, how can this person handle this? That person needs to be assured, like that person needs to be assured that it is something that you want, it is something that's okay with you. Any other situation outside of that is not a guessing game, it's not a close to game, it's not a situation of maybe, but it was like this, so I assumed this or I thought this. We've established that that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Assumptions hold no power, they hold no water. And what we need to do is make people understand it, that the world doesn't work on assumptions, it doesn't run on assumptions. Your assumptions do not justify your actions. You can't just assume and do whatever. So people you know should listen, should talk, should express themselves. People that have had this experience should talk about it with other people. We should move forward, try and educate one another, and that's the way we can actually do something. Okay, and we also need to take accountability. Take accountability. If you know you've done something like this, don't say it's this. Call it what it is. Call it what it is. People that are perpetrators and do this type of things should be able to realize and recognize that they did something wrong. Because the only way to change is that for you to even recognize what you did was wrong. That will come from education. And then another thing is a proper penalty system. People that do things like this should actually get a hefty penalty. They should see that, oh, these are the consequences of my action. The consequence should be seen, so it serves as some sort of notion to other people that have plans of such in the future or anything similar. Because the truth is that that video that we watched where that man found out the girl was tipsy and she wasn't sure, that situation is only possible because of how heavy the repercussions are, especially as someone that's famous and his platform relies heavily on him being a good guy, a funny person, a kind person. Someone said he escaped a lawsuit. Whether he is viewing it as him escaping a lawsuit or him just being a decent human being, it is good. It is good. Yes, let it be. Even if they are morally bankrupt and the only reason why they are respecting your boundaries sexually or in regards to your body is because they want to escape a lawsuit, that is much better than someone having some sort of entitlement, any form of entitlement to your body. So that's just it. Legality, awareness, um and also taking responsibility, taking accountability. I think those three things will go a long way in making sure that things like this don't happen anymore. To make sure that in 10 years from now we are not still having conversations about consent the same way we're having conversations. We're saying better, things are getting better. So dreaming of a forward with
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so very much. I think we're considering all of the things that people should or best ways to approach these matters. But the most important one is the one we talked about communication. Let people be clear on these things. Let people be open to talking about everything. Like talk to someone, ask questions. Be sure that you're both on the same page. Talk about it because you have respect for that person, or even because you love them actually, yeah? Because you love them, you want to carry them along in whatever decisions you're making. You don't just want to assume, okay, this is what I want, and so this is what you should want, because we're in a relationship. And so I think that's the biggest one, yeah. Talk about these things. And of course, that fails, if that's gonna fail us, even though we talked about opening up communication, let's start talking about it. Let's be loud about it. Let people know that these things are wrong. Not assume that, oh, it's okay. Let's know the lines, let's know the lines are drawn. Let's understand where boundaries are. Let's talk about it. Oh, the idea that you shouldn't go to someone's house that you're friends with because they are they are the opposite sex should not.
Oh, I think maybe the network cut them out. So all we're trying to say is that educating, enlightening people about this respect, consent, and boundaries of a thing. Because, like I said before, now there are people who don't even have idea of what consent is all about. They don't even know what boundaries is, what it means. They don't know what it means to respect. Okay, welcome.
Please, can you stop? Yeah. So, all right, I'm with you. We're about to. So you can just say last. We're saying that communication is like the greatest. I mean, everybody should learn to talk about everything. Talk about like we talk with your
Okay.
sisters, they already know what boundaries not cross. They already know that maybe you don't like them wearing your shoes or you don't share your bras or something, but people get into the relationship and they don't talk about all of the things that matter to them. They don't, somebody doesn't know what their partner would prefer. They just have to go ahead and make assumptions. Or maybe just because it has always been like that. But I think that it's time we started talking about everything, to talk about these things. We're making noise about the fact that there's such a thing as concern, there's such things as boundaries, and there's such things as crossing boundaries and violating other people's rights. And I think that love, respect, basic consideration for one another says or would say to just yes, ask that person before you go ahead and take that decision. Talk to that person about that matter. You want to have sex, why not find out from your wife? Oh, playfully, you're on the bed and you feel like, oh, I feel like it, and then the other person said, you only feel like it, because it's not even about you only, it's also about the both of you. So I don't really know how people go ahead and do those things without even the idea that, oh, because it's you are this and because you are mine, I can take that decision without your consent. No, it's not proper. So but we're learning to talk about these things and we're getting open about them, and I think that's the way to go. And then if it does fail, then maybe we can bring in police. But I hope we never have to get to that place because of love and because of respect. And yeah, so thank you. I think this is where we round up. today's session, and we hope to keep having this conversation. Yes, because it's an important one, and we've not been having them. And we think that we should talk about them because they are actually very important. So that people know that there are such things as boundaries, such things as consent, and they should respect one another. Thank you very much. I almost said praise the Lord. All right, have a lovely week ahead. Have a beautiful week ahead. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to drop your comments. We would love to read from you. Thank you.
Care
All
and
right.
define your boundaries.